Ebook, welcome to the international community. I'm Carvelli, Master of Finance. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Our topic today is car buying, purchasing versus leasing. Purchasing can be where you finance through the dealership or you finance through your bank, or you can also pay real cash that you actually have the money. This is another area. Leasing is when you lease the vehicle through the dealership or a company that just does leases, and you lease it for a certain amount of time. We're going to go through some points. Car purchasing allows you to use any mileage you want, okay? That means the kilometers, the miles, depending on the country, any amount you want. Keep in mind, remember this, with leasing, there's set mileage, so you can't go over that limit, and if you do, you pay hefty fees for it. Car purchasing depreciates, right? So you drive it off the lot, it could go down thousands of dollars for sure. Leasing doesn't, you give it back. Unless sometimes you want to buy it out, it could have a depreciation part in that buyout. But for the most part, if you're just returning it, it doesn't depreciate like a car purchase would. With leasing, when you've made all those payments for a few years, it's really money right in the toilet. You have no asset. Unless at the end of the lease, it's within the market value to buy it out, that could be to your advantage. But if you're at a $400 payment and should be $800 to buy it, and you just want to play a role and have the best car outside of the gym and be a big showboat because you feel you have this big, great car, I wouldn't do that. That's not the way to go. Finance it. Unless you have a business that you can write it off, right? A percentage. But this is where you got to get creative and have a good accountant to know how much you can write off and what's worth it. You just can't pick a Mercedes-Benz and you should be driving a Chevy because you feel you can write it off. No, you have to write off the right amount. And this is where that accountant's really going to help you out, okay? So keep in mind with the write-off, you want to keep it limited to what makes sense for that lease, because you want to use money for your business that's actually going to make you money. Unless the car's wrapped with all your stickers all over it, yes, that could work, but you want to have the cash flow in your business to write off expenses that are really making your money. So you don't want to throw it all into that car. With financing, interesting enough, people don't realize you can write off the depreciation in a business. So if your car is going down in value, it's not as much as leasing, but if it's going down on value the first year, second year, etc., you could write off the depreciation in that value in your taxes. Key point. With leasing, the maintenance, you got to be very careful, could be hefty, because you might have to go to the returning dealer and do all these maintenance checks, oil changes, antifreeze, tranny flushes. This could get super costly. So you want to ask about all this and know about it. Whereas with financing, you could get away with sometimes going to the smaller shop long as you keep the receipts. So this is another area that you got to be careful on leasing. There's a tax savings point. With leasing, you're just paying on your payments for taxes. With financing, you're paying the whole amount of the purchase. So this is a tax savings on leasing, okay? This is one area where leasing would have the upper hand. Leasing can be very difficult to get out of the contract, whereas in financing, you could trade up, you could sell it, you're more free to get out of it. So be careful on leasing. Pretty well, you're going to be stuck in that lease for the duration of the loan. Here's an interesting one. On a lease, you're typically not the owner. The leasing company is the owner and you register it. So remember, with financing, you're the owner. Big difference. But also remember, on financing, if you don't pay it for a few months, they could easily pick it up. So in life, you don't really own either one. But once again, on actual documents, you are the owner on a finance agreement and not on a lease. Leasing, in most cases, won't report to your credit, but in some cases it can. And even if it does, it's not looked upon the same as getting a car finance loan with the same weight. So a car financing loan is way better for your credit, 10 times to 1 compared to a lease. Now I want to mention to you a very sensitive area called in-house financing or in-house leasing. This is where a dealer or someone with some money or a smaller lender borrows you money to lease you a vehicle. They control it. They're the owner. It's a dangerous area. It's not regulated. Most of the time it doesn't report to a bureau. And the rates are super high on these loans. So I want to steer you away from this unless you have absolutely no option. Even I would highly recommend doing a carpool or something else instead of this. It's dangerous. If you really need to, you can talk to a lawyer and have them really look at the contract, spend a couple $100 because this could be so hard to get out of. You have no idea. Be careful. It's a trap. Keep in mind with financing and leasing, most of the time you don't need to put money down for financing. But with leases, they do require down payments. So this could be another negative outlook on a lease. One other point on a lease is they're going to really nickel and dime you when you're returning it. They're going to say normal wear and tear, but they're going to pick it apart. And you're going to have to probably spend several $100s or thousands to fix it up to give it back. Whereas in financing, you'll get normal wear and tear and it's your car, so you're not going to have to do that. In conclusion on this topic, between purchasing, financing, and leasing, you really got to decide what's best for you. Shopping around to multiple places and doing your homework. What is the drawback of a long-term lease? Well, for sure, if you're not buying it out, it's all those payments and you're not writing off that you're throwing in the toilet. This is a huge drawback on a long-term lease. Also, if you're planning to buy it out, the markets could change drastically and it might not be worth much and then you can't buy it out. So this is some areas to think about. Can you break your lease early? Well, they're not just going to let you off the hook, but for some reason, if the car has major market value, they might help you out a little bit, but they're going to make you pay a hefty premium for this. So be careful. What happens if you go over the mileage on your lease? This is something that could be really bad on the pocketbook. You want to know this before you sign your lease because they have better lease options on higher mileage. So you want to figure that out, calculate how much you think you're going to use and put in your monthly payment. Because if you don't, you're going to get really nickel and dime at the end of the lease. It's going to be huge rates and it's just going to kill your pocketbook. Remember to invest into financial literacy. I have an ebook out there. Check it out at my website, masteroffinance.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and like us on Facebook. Tell all your friends and family worldwide. I'm Carvelli, Master of Finance. Hope to see you soon. God bless.